nice does not stop abuse. Being nice to your abuser is not going to stop them from abusing you. Ignoring the abuse or ignoring the victim does not stop the abuse. So there's a lot of folks who offered to help but never made the time. Well, there is a time limit. The more times that you postpone, the more of my time that you've wasted, and the more you have made it likely that the predators are going to get away. No matter how many times I explain I can't do these things alone, you make me do these things alone. Now, oftentimes, what I need people to do is to make the time to listen. And instead of making the time to listen, they make decisions for me because they thought, oh, well, listening to what's going on is not important at all. I just won't show up when I say I will, over and over and over again. Now I'm dealing with people who want to help, or they say they want to help, but they go out of their way to literally not do anything during the hours when something can be done. If you're not going to show up at all between Monday and Friday, you're not going to keep your appointments. You're going to continually reset the appointments for literally weeks or months, or in some cases, literally years. When you do that, you're showing that you don't care about the victim. So many people have said that they would make the time to listen, and then instead of making the time to listen, they postpone it. They leave me hanging over and over again. Why do I always try more than one person? Why do I try 5 or 6 people at a time? Because most of y'all are fucking fake. Very few of you are ever going to come through on anything. The few of you that do come through on something, it's only if it's what you want to do. There's a legal process that needs to be followed. But when we have to jump through all these hoops from ground zero so you can listen to this shit that I've already got fucking recorded hundreds of times, what we need to do is go through the fucking recordings and go through that shit and get it turned in. Not last minute, we're gonna try to answer all your fucking questions over the fucking phone while you fuck everything up anyway. That's why you don't do shit last minute. That's why we started 6 goddamn weeks ago. When it comes to actually listening, you're going to postpone every time. You're going to procrastinate until Friday night when you can't do shit. You want to make the call on fucking Saturday. Holy hell. Nobody's going to fucking be there on Saturday. But you know what you can do on Friday night? Do you know what you can do on Saturday and Sunday? You can get fucking informed. So one of the guys that was going to help me, he's got access to a computer so he can do lots of things I can't do. But he's got a shitty flip phone, so the stuff that I send to him, it doesn't hardly ever get to him. And if it does get to him, he can't watch it on his fucking flip phone. I have the same issues with flip phones. They don't work for shit for any of that. So he's got computer access that I don't. He's got a roof over his head. He's not stuck out here freezing at night. And he's got his own family obligations. I can understand that to a degree. It's not just about the time that you spend, which is minimal. It's also about the quality of that time spent. Are we spending that time organizing, or are we spending it jumping through a bunch of hoops that I've already been through? But you're not going to look at that. You're not going to listen to that. You're going to make me jump through it again. By myself. Again and again and again. And when are you going to make the time to listen? How many times are you going to blow me off before you follow through on something? And what a difference a few hours makes, let alone a few days. Today, the guy that was going to help me, he was only an hour late. But that hour late made it so that there was no reason to take my computer up there and hook it up, because as soon as we got it hooked up, we'd have to take it all back down again. What a difference an hour makes. With that 1 hour, we could have done quite a bit. But then it comes down to people wanting to argue about whose job it is. No. None of these people are going to look at the evidence. That's why I'm asking you to look at it. I'm asking you to stop trying to pawn me off on every other agency and actually take a look with your own two eyes and speak up. These things that you're asking me to do, that you've already acknowledged, I cannot do those things for myself. Why don't you speak up? If you don't procrastinate until fucking Friday, maybe we can get something done. But all you do is procrastinate every week until Friday. You don't show up repeatedly. It's hurry up and wait. I have to hurry up and wait on everybody else's schedule. It'd be nice if they would inform me in a timely and efficient manner. Most of the time, I don't get informed at all. Then there's the people that other folks say, well, wasn't this person going to help you? It wasn't that person going to help you? They never show up. They never fucking show up. If I'm assaulted tonight and I send that lady a message saying I was just assaulted, I may not hear from her for an entire week. I get that other people have problems. My problems really aren't that difficult to understand. But when you're always in a hurry because you got better stuff to do, I'm going to take a look at the things that are more important. How much more important is it? And what is it that's more important? I can understand if you haven't seen your friends in 6 years and they come to visit and you go out drinking with them. What I don't understand is that if your friend is being harmed and they're letting you know that they're being harmed, and for 6 years, those friends that you go out drinking with and fucking around with every weekend, the ones that you complain that you don't really have any real friends, you just have drinking buddies. Well, what are you interested in? Going out and drinking every weekend. I'm forced to go to people with some pretty severe mental issues. The reason for that is because the quote unquote sane people that I know are too busy. They're always too busy. So I have to pay people for help with things that I'm not able to do for myself because I'm disabled. Meanwhile, that doesn't matter, does it? In reality, I have a penis. So somehow, magically, I am privileged. I make $50,000 a year. Ha! Huh. No, I don't. For disabled people, our disability money is not enough to take care of ourselves. Now, when it comes to housing, if we have housing and disability at the same time, then we might be able to get help. But I was fucked out of my housing by the people that were supposed to be fucking helping me. That includes Kenneth Wilson and Letha Plunkett. That includes Jeff Ritter and Kara Heller. That includes Nicole Peralta and the Dual County Sheriff's Department. See, the thing here is that I didn't have anyone and still don't have anyone who's going to look at the evidence and understand why it's important for them to look. If it was your friend or family member, you would have taken a look already. But for me, I have to beg people to actually take a look at the evidence and speak up about it. You know, the questions that I was being asked about what we need to turn in, I've been answering for 7 goddamn years. I answer those questions and show actual evidence so that those people have access. So they have access to the evidence right at their fingertips. But all of that work is fucking wasted when all they want to do is argue or talk over me or tell me, oh, have you tried this place? Have you tried that place? Oh, I looked it up last night in 5 minutes. And have you tried this place and this place? Yes, I've tried all of them and I've recorded them. Please stop making me go back. How about listen to me so you know what's going on? Try listening to the victim instead of trying to turn it into a fucking conversation. And for God's sake, stop trying to volunteer a fucking quick fix for a situation that you know nothing about. Find out about the situation, please. If you don't make the time, I take the abuse, not you. I'm the one taking the abuse. Because you can't take the time to even listen, let alone help stop the abuse. I'm frustrated for a reason. Trying to explain to people who have never had to experience this that, hey, this is fucking detrimental to anybody's mental fucking health. Nobody is going to be happy about this kind of fucking treatment. This shit's not humane. In order to fucking turn this in, I need to be able to sit down with the fucking evidence and go through it. And I can't fucking do that. I can't do that because I don't have a friend or family member to this day that takes the fucking evidence seriously. And that's why men commit suicide. You don't fucking give a shit about us. You don't give a shit if we're being abused. You're not gonna fucking take it seriously, because if you took it seriously, you would fucking listen to the victim and help him turn it in right away. Not postpone it for 6 goddamn weeks of hell. I have to hurry up and wait until somebody makes the time. When are they going to take the initiative and make the time to even listen? There's a lot of fucking important details, and they are important. And when I tell people those important details, they talk over me as if I never told them anything. How about ask me? Instead of telling me what you heard, why don't you fucking ask me? When I tell you I'm not able to do something, and I show you why I'm not able to do it, please understand that making suggestion after suggestion that requires me to be able to do things that I am incapable of, and you are already well aware that I'm incapable of it, please put 2 and 2 together. Please. When I'm telling you about just one of the issues that I have, I don't need you to stop and interrupt me with 30 fucking suggestions. What I need you to do is just take a mental fucking note. There's too much stuff going on to get fucking stuck on one little part for fucking days. And I understand that other people need to take mental health days. They don't understand that I don't get any mental health days. I am stuck out here every day no matter what. I understand that people are tired and they want to go home and go to bed. I don't have a home or a bed. When people say they're going to help, they mean maybe, eventually. Maybe. And maybe always turns into no. People will maybe you to fucking death. How can you tell if somebody gives a shit about you? Well, for starters, if they give a shit about you, they're not just going to say they're sorry over and over again. They're going to want to find out what's going on and how they can help. And when you tell them, well, for starters, I need you to listen so you know what's going on, they won't even do that. They'll schedule a bunch of fucking appointments to jump through. Appointments with places you've already jumped through. The point here is to turn those places in, not go back for more fucking abuse. None of these places are going to tell us the legal process for turning them in. Is a rapist going to tell you how to turn him in? No, he's not. He wants to get away with raping you. None of these agencies have any incentive to do their goddamn jobs. None of them. Because there are no legal consequences when they don't do their jobs. And there are no legal consequences because you don't give a fuck. Your idea of helping them is to talk over them, to make appointments you're never going to show up to, or to go in completely the wrong direction and expect the victim to jump through all these hoops. None of it gets these crimes turned in. You know what does? Looking at the fucking evidence and fucking sharing it. Meanwhile, when people are being overwhelming dumbasses, I have to pretend that everything is fine and dandy. Everything is okay. It's okay to do stupid shit. It's okay to do stupid shit. It's okay to do stupid shit, right? Well, no, it's not. I don't do stupid shit. I do shit out of necessity. Big goddamn difference. It should not be necessary for me to fucking curse at 911 operators. It should not be necessary for me to fucking stream on goddamn YouTube. It should not be fucking necessary, but it is. And why is it necessary? Because people don't fucking listen, especially if the victim is male. No matter how good your intentions, your ears are turned off. Shannon Alvarado is a prime example of what happens when your idea of listening is to talk nonstop. You don't know shit. I don't hate these people. I hate that they don't listen. I hate that they don't try to understand. That they're so busy talking over me. They've got this great idea that I've never thought of before. And then they tell me, oh, well, have you, have you tried calling this place that you've called 24 times or more? Call them again. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. People can have the best intentions in the world, but it's the follow through that's the problem. You say you care about your friend. Your friend is being victimized every single day. Every single day you can take the time to listen to him and to help turn it in, and every day you are too busy, over and over and over again. Too busy, too busy, too busy. You say, oh, well, I'll help you on Tuesday, and on Tuesday you don't show up. I say, hey, you know what? We got to make calls. We got to make more than one, and we have to make them between Monday and Friday. And we have to make them between 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. in most cases. So that's the time that we have to make these calls. And when we make these calls, you need to be informed. There's stuff that they're going to ask us to do. You need to pay attention to what they're asking us to do and whether or not I have the fucking ability. Now also keep in mind that those things are expected to be done immediately. The government expects you to magic it up right fucking now. If I'm waiting on people for 6 months or even just 6 hours on some occasions, that is too long. Because they want it immediately. If it's not immediate, then it's my fault. It's all my fault as the victim if it's not turned in immediately. But if I do try to turn it in immediately and I don't have a fucking witness, then it's my word versus theirs even if I have it recorded. So you, as a friend or family member, have to actually take a look and help turn it in with me so you know what the fuck is going on. Instead of assuming and treating me like shit for it. None of these people have done fucked up shit because they're evil. There are people who did some pretty evil shit elsewhere. And some people who have done some pretty evil shit here. There are some of these individuals that I have met throughout this situation that absolutely are just straight up evil people. They don't care about anybody but themselves. But most of these people, although very selfish and very greedy, are not actually evil. They're just human. They want the best for them. They don't want consequences for them when they do fucked up shit, but they certainly don't want people doing fucked up shit to them, do they? It's wrong for people to do it to you. You want vengeance if people do it to you. You want revenge if people do it to you. But if you do it to them, they're supposed to forgive you. They're supposed to forgive and forget. You're allowed to judge them because Jesus judged people. But nobody better judge you back, or it's judge not, lest ye be judged, right? Only God can judge you, but you can judge whoever you want. And how dare anybody who's not God judge you? But you should be allowed to judge whoever you want. How dare anybody pass judgment upon you that is not the Almighty, while you pass judgment on people every day and pretend like it's okay because you said in the name of Jesus, whoop, whoop. And the most simple things that you take advantage of every day. You make suggestions like I have that access, and I don't. You know what it's like being homeless? In the morning, when you've got to go to the bathroom, walk to the closest store that is open that has a bathroom. You know that 5 minutes that you're cold in between when you leave your front door and when your vehicle finally warms up? Yeah, well, instead of getting in your vehicle, walk to work in that weather. You know that telephone that you got? Go find a place with internet every time you need to use it. Go find a Starbucks that you can get the signal from. Or go to the library so you can use the signal there. Being homeless is dirty. It's nasty. And we have to deal with some real nasty people. We have to deal with the drug addicts that you pretend that all of us are. You're not likely to take your shit out on one of those drug addicts, though. You're more likely to take it out on somebody like me. How many people promised to help me before Natalie died and never followed through? Several dozen. People who'd claimed to be my friends. Some of them even calling me family. But they didn't follow through. And when they didn't follow through, how am I supposed to believe in this family bullshit? How am I supposed to believe that we're friends? One of the worst things that I can hear is people telling me they believe me. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to know that I'm telling you the truth. And since I have the evidence to show that, I sure wish people would actually take a look at it. Because the people who look at the evidence, when they hear others speak, they know that it's bullshit. But the ones who tell me they believe me, they're not going to do anything. They're going to postpone everything every time. If they really believed me, they would take it seriously and they would help to turn it in immediately. They would understand that there are safety issues and they would work with those safety issues instead of pretending that it's a end-all be-all of everything, because it's not. It comes down to people working together. My predators worked together to destroy my life. And my friends, what did they work together for? They worked together to try to hide the fact that they were involved before Natalie was killed. So many of them. The people involved now, well, they were all involved after Natalie was killed. They didn't know me before Natalie was killed. Most of them had never heard of Natalie Bollinger until Natalie was killed. And some of them not even then. A lot of these people here who are promising to help me, they only know Natalie Bollinger or who she is because of me. Because of me speaking up about the abuse that I endure over Natalie to this day. But there's this idea that people have that because I'm intelligent and because I'm able to somewhat hold myself together in public for a while, that everything is magically honky-dory and okay, and I am in 100% perfect capacity, and I can do all this stuff myself that nobody can do themselves. And then people have these ideas, oh, well, why don't you get a pro bono lawyer? Like I never fucking thought of that. There's no such thing when you're a homeless man. You get a public pretender, and they are not the same thing. A public pretender does not see you as a human being. All they see is money. If they pretend to defend you, sort of, they get paid. If they don't pretend at all, they still get paid. None of my public pretenders cared that I was being abused or that I still am. I'm not a human being to any of the people that I have to go to in a professional capacity because none of them have any incentive to do their jobs. When I go in alone, police have no fear of lying to me and getting away with it because nobody cares. And they can tell that nobody cares because nobody's there. And literally everybody wants to do this whole, oh, well, I'll turn it in by myself and leave no evidence that I did any such thing. And then it's just going to be your word versus the cop's word because I'm not going to come forward in court. And how many people did that to me? Wanted to tell me that they were going to do things that they never followed through with. Wanted to tell me that their friends' and families' lives were being threatened. Meanwhile, every one of those people let me get treated like I was making it all up by the cops and the courts. And it took my public pretenders refusing to do their jobs, refusing to get a hold of any of these people, and the police going out of their way to deny me access to any of that evidence. Oh yeah, sure, Sean, you can turn them in when you get released. If you get released. Oh, and then they're going to hold stuff over your head and refuse to investigate any of the crimes against you as long as you have shit being held over your head. These are all tricks that are used by gaslighters to harm innocent victims, especially the homeless. And it's easy to do because when it all comes down to it, most of the homeless are homeless because they're cowards. Most of the homeless are homeless because they don't work together. Most of the homeless are homeless because they treat homelessness like a fucking AA meeting. It's about having a pissing contest. You've got it worse than everybody else. So how dare anybody ask you for help? But they all owe it to you to help you, right? Fucking crazy bullshit. But at least we know it's crazy bullshit. And knowing is half the battle, right? People see the conditions that I'm living in, but they don't speak up about it. What's the point in showing somebody who's not gonna fucking get the point? What's the point in showing evidence to somebody who's never gonna speak up? What's the point? All this is doing is getting myself hurt. Meanwhile, I have to do this. I have to find a way to stop the abuse, or I have to endure it for the rest of my life. And the way to stop that abuse is to have a friend or family member who actually gives a shit. And they can show that they actually give a shit by actually listening. But who's going to do that? Who's going to take the time to do that? Who's going to take the time to do that right now instead of postponing for weeks, months, or even years? Why isn't that charging? 27%. At least it's something. There's a lady who's hopefully going to help me get some of my stuff moved if I ever get a place to move it to. But getting a place to move it to requires the police actually acknowledging that I am being abused, often and frequently, that I have been trying to turn it in, that I've been trying to get a friend or family member to actually give a shit for 7 years, and that none of them have actually given a shit about the abuse. It's all about trying to pawn me off on some government agency who's supposed to do something. Well, none of them government agencies are going to do anything unless a friend or family member cares enough to look at what's going on and speak up about it. You have to actually speak up, not to me like a goddamn peanut gallery, but to speak up to the actual agencies that need to know these things. And there's a lot of them. That's the thing about getting sent around in fucking endless goddamn circles. When you make the victim start over from scratch, you are guaranteeing that their predators are going to get away. You are doing that. When I tell you important details, like the restricted numbers that people harass me from, that is an important detail. When you say, well, why don't you just leave a message with the cops, leave them your number, have them call you back? Well, first of all, because they don't. The people who said that they'd help me with this stuff, they haven't tried to look at the evidence with the intention of turning it in. It's always with the intention of telling me, hey, why don't you go to this place? Why don't you go to that place? How about you stop sending me back to the places that took advantage of me and actually help me turn it into an agency that hasn't fucked up? But you're not gonna. It's easier to buy me a meal that I don't fucking need than it is to actually listen. Instead of investing your time and resources into doing something useful for me, you do something that guarantees that I'm not going to get help because all you've done is waste time and money. I don't have the time and money to wait on you to keep your fucking word when you repeatedly don't. And every time you don't come through, I trust you less and less. Anytime since this started in September with Wolnez, these people could have helped me to turn it in by listening to understand. Taking a look at the evidence, like some of them did. But then there's the, we need to turn it in. We need to turn it in. I sent that evidence to this gentleman so he could take a look at it and help to turn it in. And he can't even look at it. Now, if I buy him a better phone so that he can do that, will he? I'm overwhelmed with this. See, the problem isn't centralized around fucking Lopez. It's not centralized around Wolnez. It's centralized around me not having a friend or family member who gives a shit enough to listen. Before you go making plans for me, stop and listen. One-on-one. Show that you're actually listening. When I have to tell somebody every single week, hey, we need to get this started on Monday. Let's get this started on Monday. Please do not blow me off until Friday evening and then pretend like we're going to be able to do something about making these calls. You waited until Friday night. There's nobody to fucking call. You wasted a whole week again! And the fact that I have to tell these people the same thing every week. Every single week. It's like talking to a brick fucking wall. Let me tell you something about intentions versus follow through. Let's say you intend on building a children's hospital in your local vicinity, right? Let's say you live in Tillamook and you say, you know what, we need a dedicated children's hospital. You intend on building a children's hospital. You intend on earning the money to do that. You intend on it. You intend on having a bake sale to get the thing started, but you never have the bake sale. So you never get any funding from that. You never fill out any grant paperwork. So you never get any grants. You've got a fucking pipe dream at that point. Because sure, there's stuff that you can do, but you're not going to fucking do it. When you say, hey, my granddaughter has a slow-acting cancer, and if we could get a cancer treatment facility closer to home, we could afford to go. So we're going to try to get ourselves a children's cancer treatment center here in Tillamook. Now what happens when it takes you 10 years to even have a fucking bake sale? Well, your granddaughter's already been dead for 8 years. Your motivation is gone because you wanted to do that so that your granddaughter would survive. Now that she's dead, there's no reason for you to continue, is there? If you do continue, it's half-assed. There's people here in Tillamook that can't go into the Starbucks or into the Safeway because somebody there was insulted by words. Once. Well, there are lots of people who use those words and worse towards me. More than once. Often many times in one day. But what does it matter? A lot of people in this town have told me about the one time they had a fucked up encounter. Like, you only had one fucked up encounter? Well, you're pretty lucky. Thank goodness for you, you're not dealing with the abuse I have to deal with every day. Thank goodness. But do you see it that way? How do you choose to view it? That lady, Vicky Rain, she did some pretty fucked up shit. But I'm expected to understand because she's got mental issues. Right? Never mind all of the damage that she did. She's got mental issues, so I'm supposed to forgive her, right? Natalie Bollinger, I'm supposed to forgive all the stuff that she did because she was on drugs, right? I'm supposed to forgive all the stuff that's registered Nebraska sex offender Robert Franklin Warnick did. I'm supposed to forget all of that too, right? I'm supposed to just forget about every piece of abuse that I have to endure. While my predators get to pretend that I am the predator. Because I have no friends or family member who take it seriously. How about you find out what's going on before setting up appointments for me and doing things for me that are against my best interest? How about find out why it's against my best interest before making plans for me or plans for us? How about when I say that there's a safety issue, that you take that safety issue seriously instead of amplifying it by making me go back to somebody who's shown they don't care about morality. They don't care about right and wrong. I'm tired of it. You have Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. That's the time that we have to get this shit done as far as what has to be turned in and what has to be called in. The rest of the time you can spend looking at evidence or listening to my story. See, just because we can't call any of these places on the weekends doesn't mean that you can't look at the stuff that needs to be looked at on the weekends. When you postpone until Friday and you don't look at any evidence or listen to what's going on, and then it's Friday at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or 9 o'clock at night, you're not doing any good because it is too late to do anything as far as calling those places in. And Shannon Alvarado's, she said she was going to help me with that shit, but then I couldn't make the calls during the day or record it during the day because her daughter might make noises. Well, her daughter's autistic and low-functioning autistic, and it comes with the territory. The worst thing about Shannon Alvarado is that all the fucked up shit that happened there was because of her, not her daughter. And who did she blame it on? Her daughter, who can't even defend herself. How am I going to trust a woman like that? Sure, she exposed Kara Johnson Miles, but she never tried to turn it in with me, did she? Ever. She literally made zero effort, ever, to fucking turn that in. Zero goddamn effort. You know why I had to break the fucking law to try to turn this shit in? Because cunts like Shannon Alvarado literally never made an effort. Not once. And it's the same effort I get at everybody. They just want to talk over me instead of helping to turn it in. How about we sit down in peace and fucking quiet with the goddamn evidence and fill this shit out right? See, the things that I'm trying to do over the phone with these fucking people, I sat down in real life with actual evidence with these people. I sat down with notepads and pieces of paper to write this shit down. For us to have to try to do it over the phone in 5 goddamn minutes, 6 goddamn months later, it's fucking insanity.